So I wanted to make this video as a warning about something not to do. A lot of these tips will be things to do, but this one is something not to do. And that's something with the left hand. Now that I've started a series of left hand exercises or routines, I want to make sure that this is covered, and it's quite important early on. So the main stretching in playing left hand would be just first the basic 4 frets. And then if we start that on 2, it'd be 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what I call acceptable stretches, things that are realistic and the fingers can cope with quite easily without capo, are, let's say, keep the middle finger down and then the index could be on 1. So that's 1 fret in between the index finger and the middle finger. Without capo is an acceptable stretch there. So we'll still build up to that carefully, but it's a very common thing with bars and things. So if we go back to 2, 3, 4, 5, so we could go behind with the index finger 1. We can also go up 1 with the little finger. That's an acceptable stretch. 3rd finger, and then 1 fret in between the little finger. So here's the one not to do, and I'd highly recommend never doing this and never even trying it, is where there's 1 fret in between the middle finger and the 3rd finger. Now, that's is something that is utilized in some exercises, but I would avoid it. And I think there's something about these 2 fingers, the stretch between the 3rd finger and the middle finger, it's more limited than the others. And if this is overdone, it can lead to a possibility where, well, basically if you damage that, there is no return as far as I'm concerned. So I've seen this with several people in the past, but I've even had students that have come and said that they had a trouble moving one of these 2 fingers independently of the other, the middle finger and the 3rd finger. So as one moved, it influenced the other one a bit. They had no control over the separation of the fingers. And I asked them if they'd ever done an exercise which had 1 fret in between these fingers, and yeah, indeed they had done it, because that's a red flag. So basically the one exercise that you may come across is one where the fingers are diagonally, let's say, and then 1 finger moves back 1 fret at a time, so you'd get the acceptable stretch here. But then as you move the middle finger back, you'd get what I call the unacceptable one. So there's a very good lesson in Paco de Lucia's Alegrias La Barrosa, and, well, not actually a lesson as such, but an example of Paco avoiding this stretch with these 2 fingers. So after the first scale of La Barrosa, it's and this goes on to. Now there's 3 phrases that come up, and I'm not going to do the one that starts here. I'm going to do the following one. I'll explain why in a minute, but the next one is, they're all very similar phrases, so with 4 notes going up. So now he does index, misses a fret, and then middle finger, 3rd finger on the next fret, so middle finger and 3rd finger together, little finger, the stretch again, so you've got both sides of the middle and 3rd. The next one starts, he plays his capo on 2, but even here it's doable, so he's the same one here. So now that we've got him playing these phrases with all 4 fingers. And the next one. But the first one, so he does, instead of doing, if he's playing 4 fingers on the others, you could imagine he would do here, because the spacing now would be a space between the middle and the third if you use the 4 fingers. But that's not what he does. He does. So he's avoiding. But the next one, because these two are together, that's okay. But here, and not this. So possibly it's okay like a chord like this, if it's like this. But I would say this is dangerous. This is different. So I think I would even be careful trying this, but you could have a quick go just to see how it feels. So the main thing is that this can, if something goes wrong here, I believe that's not recoverable. So that's why I'm making a big thing about this. So hopefully that Barossa example is a good one. There is a Raphael Riqueni Tarantus where he's very high up here and he does this separation. That's the only one I've really seen actually that he does. It's very high up though, and it's just the one off. But we can see Paco avoiding this with this. And he'll go for the little finger 3 times here to avoid, because we know from the other 2 phrases that he's using the M and A in that run, in those runs, but not here. And that's where the separation would be. They'd be separated by 1 fret. So anyway, sorry to go on about that, but I just wanted to make it very clear. I'd approach anything like that if with absolute caution. This 1 fret in between the middle finger and the 3rd finger. So my advice is avoid it like the plague. Thanks for watching.